This is Rita Dairit, and this is Buhay Parang Life, where we discuss issues about this thing called life. Thank you, my dear viewers, for tuning into this episode. I invite you to please like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and Facebook page. Buhay Parang Life is part of FaithWatch TV, and I ask you to download the FaithWatch app on your mobile device. We read and value your comments, so please feel free to write down your comments and suggestions below. We have a very interesting personality in this episode. We welcome to Buhay Parang Life, straight from Portugal, Dr. Pedro Gabriel. Hi, Pedro.
Hello, thank you for inviting me.
Say hello to your friends in Manila. You have friends in Manila.
Yes, of course. Hello, everyone who's watching in Manila, in Portugal, everywhere in the world. Hello.
Yes, this is shown, YouTube is shown all over the world. Okay, Pedro, I was reading your website and very interesting. Number one, you are a doctor, a medical oncologist, but you are also a published author and journalist. I was telling your lovely wife, Claire, how does he even marry all those roles? When did you, was it your childhood dream to be a doctor?
Yes, since my childhood that I wanted to be a doctor. It was my lifelong dream. Of course, here in Portugal, in school, if you want to be a doctor, you have to study very hard. So I could not have done it if I didn't want to. So it was needed to push through. And yes, I was driven to this. I wanted to help people. I wanted to help them feel better. And yeah, so it has been in my lifelong dream. But of course, I have other lifelong dreams, which I'm not now fulfilling, of being a writer, of being married. So I've been very lucky in fulfilling all of these dreams.
Okay, so you mentioned you are also a writer. When did you discover that, did you discover it as a child that you really wanted to write? Because I'm thinking interest in medicine would be different from interest in writing, huh? But you were able to do it.
No, I have, since my childhood, yes, I have also written stories. It was my hobby. So yes, I enjoy writing very much. And there's one thing that my medical faculty was founded by a famous Portuguese doctor, at least famous here in Portugal, Abel Salazar, who said that a doctor that only knows medicine doesn't know medicine at all. So there is a tradition here in Portugal of doctors also having artistic hobbies. It's a way for them to sublimate their experiences and to create meaning out of all the things that we do every day.
So from what you said, you really know your medicine, huh?
I hope so.
All right. You have written books and you are a Catholic apologist. All right. Tell us about the books that you have written. There was a book that you wrote when you were young. You also write fiction, right?
Yes. Most of the books that I wrote when I was young were fiction books.
And what were your favorite subject matter?
I like writing on fantasy, like, Tolkien, Lord of the Rings, or C.S. Lewis. That's the kind of books that I write, or that I wrote since my childhood, teenage years. Those are the ones. Now, since the election of Pope Francis, I have also taken the opportunity to write some books on apologetics, which is also an interest of mine. I love the church. I feel very saddened when people start attacking the church, and I wanted to contribute. And also, since early years, I had my faith, and during the papacy of Benedict XVI, I started studying it to be more informed about it. So that's how, at this moment, I feel like I'm called to make a pause on the fiction books and produce these apologetics books, which I think are needed. But of course, eventually I will pick back up on the
What
fiction books.
compelled you to write, apologetic books? Was there an incident or a series of incidents that, made you say, I need to write. I need to be an apologist. And you said that you started you studied during during the papacy of Pope Benedict, but started to write
Yes,
during
but
the papacy.
the story is basically this. Before Benedict, I was just a nominal Catholic, just like a great majority of Portuguese people are nominal Catholics. They identify with the Catholic faith, but they don't go to mass except on weddings, baptisms, and funerals. And when Pope Benedict was elected, I saw he was an intellectual, so he pulled everything that he was just like the kind of pope that would attract me. So I started reading his books. I became fascinated by his books. At this moment, he's still the author that is more represented in my library. I devoured all
Oh,
his books.
would you
And
have a
then on the
favorite
other hand,
book?
yeah, and on the other hand, I found that the media, which was secular media at the time, kept taking him out of context, attacking him, and projecting an image of him that did not correspond to the reality that I experienced through his books and by following him on his audiences and on his visits. So did not correspond to that reality. So I felt
This is
precisely
you're
called
talking.
to start a blog. At that moment, it was a blog in Portuguese to address all these criticisms that and all the misinformation and fake news about Pope Benedict, and
Also,
that's how
so
my apologetics began. Then, when
so
Pope Francis was elected, I just shifted from defending Pope Benedict to defending Pope Francis. It's the same. It's the same principle, though. With Pope Francis, the people who are criticizing him are mostly people from within the church. Where Benedict, it was mainly people from without the church. But it's the same process. It's the same principle. But at the time of Benedict, and even a lot of years in the beginning of Pope Francis's pontificate, what I wrote was just articles, blog articles. But now I found that there's so much disinformation out there that it can only be addressed with books, with scholarly references, and that's what I have been doing at this moment.
so how do you defend Pope Francis? Have you written a book? I know that you have a
Yes, I
YouTube
have.
channel where Peter is.
Yes, where Peter is the blog that I co-founded precisely with some fellow Catholics who were concerned also about the way Pope Francis was being mistreated. That's also how I met my wife online to defend Pope Francis. And now here's the book that I have published until at this moment is The Orthodoxy of Amoris Laetitia by
Mm.
Wipf and Stock. It's the one that is published at this moment. And there's another book, Heresy Disguised as Tradition, that is currently waiting publication. I already signed a contract. It's just waiting for some minor details for launch. And I have two more books that I am currently writing. So
So
that's
when do you practice your medicine?
I also practice my medicine. Time
Between writing and
is
practicing medicine.
well, I don't have much free time besides the medicine and my family
I
duties
can
and
imagine. Yeah.
writing the books. That's all I do. But time, God just provides. I just have to squeeze any free time that I have. If there is some dead time that I get, it's just let's write one more paragraph, two more paragraphs a page, bit by bit, things are getting done.
Are there issues about Pope Francis that you found difficult to defend?
Well, the most difficulties disappear as soon as a person studies the problem, the process in depth. Most of the difficulties that I found were because I was still not informed about the issues, which is something that happens. I don't know everything, so as soon as I start studying it, I find that it's easier to defend them. I also was helped because I have been taking some online courses on the Pontifical University of Santa Croce. Thankfully, during the pandemic, there was the possibility of doing some online classes. And those classes also validated some of the things that I had written before. Of course, I already knew them at that time, but they help validate and deepen my understanding. So it's not hard. It's not so hard to defend him, but you have to change your perspective a bit because his style is different. His theology, he is a good theologian, but his theology is not European or not the theology that Americans are more used to. So it's just a matter of changing the perspective a bit, but it's still completely within the realm of the faith and orthodoxy. So it's just a matter of deepening our understanding, being charitable towards the Holy Father, being open to, and this is the most important thing, being open to the possibility that there's things about the faith that we still don't know. And we will never will, because we're just mere mortals. Our knowledge is limited and God is infinite. So it's just a matter of remaining humble in the journey. Every day we learn new things. That's what Pope Francis says. It's a God of surprises. But many people don't like being surprised. They think that they already are there. They already know. They don't need to learn anything new. They don't need to deepen their understanding. They don't need to convert to. That's it.
Have you been criticized for defending the Pope?
Oh, yes.
And how do you handle those criticisms?
Constantly. Even
what are the
before
issues
logging
that
in.
what are the issues that they bring up to you and say, hey, you cannot be defending this?
So there's many. It's just like it's precisely just like when the secular media was attacking Benedict, or when people are more secularized attacked Christianity. They have this framework, these fixed ideas, and they don't want to change because for some reason changing would destroy some certainties that they have in their life that it's comfortable for them to just be where they are. Of course, for me, it would also be a comfortable feeling to just, oh, I already know this. I don't need to learn anything else. And if someone comes to me and says that I'm wrong, even if he is the vicar of Christ, well, that's his problem. He's the one who's right. I'm the one he's the one who's wrong. I'm the one who's right. So, but this happens with everyone. Okay.
Right.
So even I have that temptation. So I have to resist it. It is important for every single one of us to keep growing, to not remain stagnant. We are on a journey until our last day. We have to keep walking.
So would reading your books enlighten many Catholics who are criticizing the Pope right now?
Yeah, I hope so. That's why I've written them. Of course, people have to remain open to them. And of course, there will always be discussions as long as those discussions are done in good faith. But I think that, yes, that they help at least If it were me, they would help because I have this approach to the faith, also based on reason and arguments. So yeah, I think that it might help.
Where are these books available? I hope not only in Europe.
The books are available in Amazon. You
In
can just go
Amazon.
to
Okay.
Amazon and order them online. Order them online, and they will be delivered to you. Uh, the Orthodoxy of Amoris Laetitia is there, and the new books are also going to be there.
Okay. You are married to a Filipina. How is it? You said you met online because both of you were defending Pope Francis. How did that happen? You were in a discussion group?
Yeah, yes, we were on a discussion group of Catholics that were concerned. By the way, the Pope Francis has been criticized. Not
Mhm.
everyone went with the flow, and there was a group that was set up, and I was invited from Portugal. She was invited from the Philippines. We met there. We started talking, and the rest is history.
How
uh,
is it like being married to a Filipino? Was there like, culture shocks? Like, oh, are you really like this? Are Filipinos really like this?
No, of course, there are different cultures, but we are able to adjust to each other. I learned from her culture; she learns from mine. And we find interesting things on both cultures. So, it's when you love someone, those things are addressed. Those things are adjusted. We adapt. So, yeah.
That's right. You were a member of the press corps also in the World Youth Day. Tell us about your experience.
Okay, so also during the pandemic, and during the pandemic, I took also the time to do an online course on journalism. And from that point onward, I have been even before I had already covered the Pope Francis's papacy and dispelling fake news. But after this, and with all the things that I written before, I was able to get and Claire as well, a badge for the press corps, and we started covering World Youth Day, which was a good thing because on the days leading up to World Youth Day, there were already people who were criticizing World Youth Day very heavily. That they were criticizing the bishop and the organizers of World Youth Day. And we went there. They were criticizing them because of some things that were said about interreligious dialogue. And we went there and we showed that World Youth Day was indeed a place where interreligious dialogue played out, but that did not deter from evangelization. It was a very profoundly evangelizing event, and we were there in all the initiatives, both the interreligious dialogue ones and the evangelizing ones, to show a glimpse of the real World Youth Day, not the distortions that were being passed on in some media, that it was a heavily secularized movement, that it was a heavily secularized event, that that World Youth Day had lost its evangelizing flavor. That does not correspond to reality. We went there. Jesus is alive and working very intensely in those in that 1.5 million of pilgrims that gathered there in Lisbon.
The word right now, the buzzword right now in the church is synodality. And I can imagine you are hearing many criticisms about it.
Yes.
Just say a few words about those who are continuously criticizing the synod.
Yes. Well, synodality is something that is traditional in the church. The church in the first millennium was heavily synodal. And if you read church history, you find out that these kinds of disputes and arguments are a part of synodality. It's how the things that the Holy Spirit wants to transmit to us get filtered through the through 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 the centuries, and they pass through these arguments, and they get purified, and they become doctrine. So along the way, we lost this synodality spirit, this synodal spirit, which it's fine. The church became more concentrated on the person of the Pope. But now, since the Second Vatican Council, and most especially with Pope Francis, we're trying to resurrect this synodal spirit so that it's a more participative model of the church, so that it's not just from the top down, but that people here at the rest of the church can also give their opinion and can also participate. But of course, in the end, and Pope Francis is very clear on this, synodality always happens with Peter and under Peter. Sub Petro et cum Petro.
With Peter
So
and under
the
Peter.
synod is an advisory body, but in the end, the one who makes the decision is the Pope. And the Pope is the guarantor of unity and the guarantor of orthodoxy. So if you have faith in the promises of Jesus Christ that he will guide the church, you have nothing to fear. But again, we need to be open to the possibility that we may learn something new from this listening process. And the Holy Spirit will not let the church fall. The Holy Spirit will not let the church err. We just need to let the process go and have faith. That's it.
What is your hope for the Catholic Church, for the Catholic faith, and for the papacy?
Well, regarding the papacy and even the future of the church, it does not depend on me. It depends on Jesus. So the hope and faith that I have, it's the faith, is the Christian faith. So it's kind of out of my control, and I'm fine with it. I don't wish to change the church. Where I just follow the church wherever she goes. What I hope, and what's in my capacity with the help of God, is to do my part, and I hope that my part will help people so that they will grow in communion, and so that they will continue walking together with the church, not saying that they are walking in the church, but walking wherever they want, but no, walking together. Some go more in the front, some more in the back, but all together in the same direction, under the same leadership.
Your hope for your future with Claire, your Filipino wife?
No, in the future, it also depends on us. But I hope that we will keep doing the things that we have been doing. I think we are a very good team. Many of the things that I have achieved with my books, with the journalism, etc., I would not have done it without her support, without her advice. So I hope that our team will continue to bear many good fruits.
Okay, final words for our viewers, especially, the Catholic who are right now maybe afraid or worrying or not sure about the future of the Catholic Church.
I believe that the Filipinos, just like the Portuguese, the Americans, everyone, Italians, everyone in the world have their doubts. It's normal to have doubts about the future. There's no time in the history of the church or of the world that there have not been evil things, bad things. It's normal to be afraid, but in the end, God is in charge. And I know myself, sometimes I might not take this message to heart. It's just normal and human, but that's the truth. We have to trust in the Lord even in the middle of the storm, because the storm will end, and we will eventually pass through it.
Thank you. The storm will end. Thank you so much, Pedro. Thank you for granting this interview. And thank you, my dear viewers, for watching this. Remember, God is in control. This is Rita David reminding you today, haba-habaan po ang pasensya sapagkat ang buhay parang life.